Hello, hello. I haven't done a Facebook Live on my main account in a while, so I thought this topic is a little too juicy just to leave it to my private Facebook group. So I decided to come on. If you're new to me, my name is Donnell. As a matter of fact, I'm going to share this to my group if I can while I'm doing this. Perfect. Okay. So Donnell, if you're new to me, I mentor in soul-led leadership and really am such a huge advocate of futuring and relationships and all that kind of fun, juicy stuff. And I wanted to come on today and kind of talk about this spiritual bypassing that I see a lot of. And what made me think about this topic, it's actually been percolating for a week now, and it's just taken me a hot minute to get on here. And yesterday really reaffirmed for me that this is an important topic that needs to be discussed. And if you've never heard the term spiritually bypassing, you will completely understand what I mean by it very shortly. So I happened to be leading one of my group coaching calls yesterday with my beautiful, amazing women that are in one of my group programs called Destin. And we're in the program, and we're, the women that are in this group all get a chance to go around and get coached individually. And a couple of things happened yesterday, and one of them was one of the participants was having a really rough day, and she came on and she apologized for being kind of grumpy and in a bad mood. And it just reminded me that, there's this part of us that still edits how we're showing up in life. So that was the first thing that happened. And then the second piece was another gal was talking about her, what was coming up for her and some shifts and changes she's been making in her life that are really amazing, but that it's bringing up a lot of feelings, and that she felt a little bit all over the place, and that she wasn't as succinct and put together as she normally should be. And it really got me thinking yesterday how there is a misconception that being spiritual is, this thought that you're supposed to show up and always, be in a good mood and be positive and have everything together, be this like positive Pollyanna, just skipping through life. And it is the biggest bunch of crap I've ever heard of in my entire life, because that's not true spirituality. And so it was really interesting to me, because when the gal who was having a bad day and was grumpy was like, I feel so bad, I shouldn't come onto the call like this. And I said, why not? Why are we supposed to always be in a good mood? I mean, is that reality? Hi, Mesa. I'm like, that's not normal. We're not always in good moods. Being spiritual doesn't mean that you are this, person that's always going to be in a space that is feeling good. Hey, Rochelle, the true spirituality is when you can hold all the frequencies that you are experiencing at one time. And let me tell you, that can be very, very challenging. It requires a lot of resiliency. Because if you're, for instance, in one part of your life feeling very stressed out about something, and you're like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? Like, how is this going to work out? And then on the other, there might be another part of your life where you're feeling really good. It's a dialectic. It's two different things that are happening. And if you were to ignore the one part of your life that is not going well, maybe you're having issues at work or money stuff or in a relationship, and you just want to positive your way out of it. It's like you're skimming the top of the ocean. You're never going deep and really getting to the root and to the deeper understanding of why these things are showing up in your life. Because there is a reason This is a reality that is based on your internal dynamics, your energetics that, are show up in the external. So how you are tracking internally is going to show how your reality is going to be showing up for you. And what's so fascinating is that if you are only wanting to focus on the things that are going well in your life, you're like missing out on the whole reason of being human. In my opinion, being human is about being able to deal with all the sometimes oppositional frequencies that you're experiencing, and seeing the thing that you are viewing as negative as actually an incredible invitation to go deep within yourself and start to excavate and learn about yourself and figure out what is actually going on. That's the spiritual journey, is when you start to go within and start to look and say, why is this happening right now in my reality? What part of me was complicit in creating this at some point? Because whatever's showing up for you today in your reality, you didn't create it today, my friend. That was created a while back. Whether it was 3 months ago, 6 months ago, because you were operating a certain way and you have beliefs and actions that you took and feelings that you had that put things into motion. And if you're living your reality and you're in this space of, I don't like this thing that's happening right now, what a lot of people do when they're in the spiritual bypassing way of being is they don't want to necessarily take ownership, accountability, and responsibility for why the things are showing up. Because it's hard. I mean, it's hard. It's difficult. I get it. I do this all the time where I'm like, what part of me created this? Why did I create this? But you're not going to get very far in your reality if you are resisting what is trying to inform you and asking you to elevate. Because isn't that the spiritual game of life? Elevation? Isn't it that we all want to evolve and move into something really freaking incredible? And I hear so many times people, when I ask people what they really want in life, I want peace, I want joy, I want more love, more money, more, whatever it is. And yet, the very thing that they need to address in their reality that is causing them suffering, they want to turn away from. They want to ignore for some reason. They want to put their head in the sand like an ostrich and just be like, this isn't happening. I don't want to deal with this. That's spiritual bypassing. It's a bunch of it's kind of like, it's just like always being in the shallow side of the pool. You don't want to go deep. And when I work with women, my invitation is always like, let's go deep. Let me support you and moving through this life of yours and figuring out how we can get from here to here. And it's not going to be through bypassing. So I said yesterday when I was, if you're, just listening, I was saying on my group coaching call yesterday, when one of them showed up and was like, I feel so bad, I'm in a grumpy mood. And another one is like, I'm feeling so much and I should be more polished and succinct and all this stuff. And I'm like, what are we never supposed to be messy in this life? Are we supposed to be perfect or something? Did I get the memo like that we're supposed to? No, I didn't get that memo. What we are supposed to do is be ourselves and be authentic. And that's what I shared with the ladies yesterday. I was like, be yourself. There is no having to edit or act a certain way. Granted, if you're going in for a job interview, you're going to behave a certain way. I'm not talking about that. But in a safe space in your life, where you can be witnessed and seen, your vulnerability is your strength. Your vulnerability, you being able to hold yourself and share what's happening. And not feeling bad because Melissa, not feeling bad because you're in a bad mood. Because a bad mood, I mean, yeah, I can go into all different things with this, but the point of it is that if you're really living life, you're gonna be uncomfortable sometimes, and you're gonna be in a bad mood every now and then. And the gift in that, besides it informing you of whatever's coming up in your reality, is that you can shift it, that you can eventually change it. And in, the law of attraction and all this like spiritual mumbo jumbo baby ass like kind of crap, if you ask me, it's like, what are we talking about? The law of attraction is so 101. And it's like it bypasses so much of what it really takes to be wildly, incredibly abundant in this reality. Because I know lots of people, I work with so many women that have oodles of money, the position, the status, the reputation, all the things, and yet they're freaking miserable inside sometimes. Because the one thing that they want more than anything is to feel connection and fulfillment in their life. A deeper meaning, a purpose, a reason to get up in the morning. Besides, oh my gosh, I have to go to work today and go do this job that I can't stand anymore. But I make so much goddamn money, I'm just going to keep doing it. That's not how we want to, that's not a fun life. So when you start to really think about where you give your power to, this is the other part of spiritual bypassing. Not only are you trying to attract something, the law of attraction, oh, I'll just think it. I'll say affirmations over and over again that I'll have money and the money will just drop in my lap, or that I'll get my dream job or whatever. I love that stuff, but you're missing a few ingredients. You're missing a few things. Yes, think it, feel it, visualize it. But what people don't talk about is you have to actually become the frequency of the very thing that you want. And if you're putting your power outside of yourself, if you make money the end all be all, like you're idolizing money in some way. I see this online so much right now. It's kind of sickening. I love money. I have a fantastic relationship with money. I love nice things. I love to travel. I love to do all the things. But money doesn't define me. My bank account, I want a flush bank account because I want to be able to provide abundance to my family, but it doesn't define who I am. I am wildly gifted. I'm one of the best in my field. And just because I'm not making $1 million yet, does that make me not as good as somebody else who's making $1 million? Or does it make me not just as great at marketing? That's just the truth. But the point is so many people are giving their power to something outside of themselves. And if there's this law of attraction, if I just attract this thing in, then I'm going to feel better about myself and I'm going to be whole and my life is going to be great. And that is really, it's a misconception, because so many times, how many times have you gotten the very thing that you want? And then you're just kind of like, okay, what's the next thing? It's not about the thing, you guys. It's about the journey, and it's about who you become on your way to achieving the things and having the things that you want. I'm a huge proponent of having amazing things if that's what turns you on. But are you doing it because you think it's going to solve something and prove to somebody else or someone in your circle that you've got it together? Like all the coaches online that are always like, look at me. And I love it. I have some coach. One of the coaches I work with pretty intimately, she has got oodles of money and she's a badass and I respect her. But when people are using that as a barometer of their self-worth, they're energetically leaking out their power. Because the truth of it is, for instance, with money is just energy. It should not ultimately have that much power over you. We need it in this society, obviously. But when you start to reframe and look at this and your co-creation that you have around money, and realizing your money is around your ability to receive. It's around whatever internal dynamics you have associated and attached to money, not money in of itself. So the spiritual bypassing oftentimes comes in when we are not only just focusing on something outside of ourselves to think that it's going to make us feel better, but we are so focused on the destination that we lose sight of who we're becoming. And becoming is the spiritual journey. That is the whole thing. Is that if you want the relationship, if you want the money, if you want whatever it is that is your next level, your next elevation in your life, the game's in here. It's not out there. It's taken me a long time and you hear people say this. I'm not telling you probably something you haven't heard before. But there's so many that I see wanting to resist the very thing. So when I say this, like the way for you to have the life that you truly desire is to stop bypassing, which means stop resisting the thing in your life that's showing up, that's trying to get your attention, whether it's through your health, relationships, your money, whatever. Stop ignoring it. Meet it face to face, like head on, and start to see what it's trying to tell you. And then stop ignoring your feelings, because your feelings, we have emotions and feelings, but your feelings are connected to your intuition. And like I was telling you in the beginning of the call, when one of my beautiful ladies in my group was, I'm so emotional and I'm not, put together today, and I should be like this and I should be like that. It's like, no, you don't have to be anything but you. Be your most authentic, fullest expression. And that may mean sometimes you're going to be messy. But who isn't sometimes? What kind of world are we living in where we think that we always have to be so gosh dang perfect? That's not spiritual. And I don't want my friends to expect me to be perfect. I don't expect others to be perfect. And the reason why I don't expect that is because I've learned to love myself and have compassion within myself for my own foibles and the way that I make mistakes and the way that things happen. I've had that compassion and that grace, but I couldn't extend it to other people unless I learned how to extend it to myself first. So when you're thinking about the law of attraction and who you want to, like what you want out there in the real world, you can have anything you want, but it has to start in here. You have to be willing to go into the depths of your being and learn how to hold the discomfort of your life. And the truth is, most people don't know how to do that. When the going gets tough, they peace out. They're like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to do this. I'm so uncomfortable. And this is where, when I'm coaching women, I coach them through going into the depths of their being, kind of ushering them through the threshold of some of the biggest experiences of their life. And when you embark on a spiritual journey, which is to me a healing journey, you're trying to come back into the wholeness and totality of your being. It always typically in this society has something to do with the fact that you want something better. So when you say yes to a healing journey, the areas in your life that are not in alignment with where you're going to go will show up, and you may have disruption. And then with that disruption, if you're a coach and you say, I want to make, I want to go from 10 to 50,000 a month, there's a whole new identity you're going to have to take on. You can't do that from your 10K thinking mind. You're going to have to become a new person. Or if you want the promotion, whatever it is, if you want the amazing guy, you're going to have to shift something, because otherwise you'd already have it in your reality. No mantra, no affirmation is really going to get you to that next place unless you learn how to hold the frequency of the discomfort, which means you have to have this beautiful thing called resiliency. Resiliency is that part of you that gets you through the difficult times. I don't know anybody who hasn't had difficulty. Nobody. I don't care who they show up as online or what they have going on or how pretty their pictures are or any of that nonsense. Everybody has a freaking story. That's what makes us all so damn connected. We all have a story. And your story is either what's going to, it can be a part of you, and it could have helped you develop resiliency and become this like badass, strong version of yourself, where when you get knocked down, when something doesn't go the way that you want in your life, you get right back up. Depending on how difficult it is, maybe it takes you a little bit longer, but you get back up. But if you're used to bypassing and trying to, pray your way out of something, or wish your way out of something, or law of attraction your way out of something, you're not getting it, because your soul is trying to help you up level and is trying to get you out of a pattern that you've been in, because you said you wanted something else. And so what may seem very disruptive to you is the very things that are happening that are going to get you to become the person that can have the thing that you're asking for. But you have to do the work. Nobody wants to talk about the work that is needed to become the best version of yourself. Everybody wants it to be easy peasy, 1, 2, 3. It's not. I have become the wholest version of myself, not because my life has been easy. I've had beautiful things happen, but because of the adversity and the challenges and the ways that I learned to grow through them. And in those challenges, there were many times when I speak of reality creation, co-creation, where I ignored the signs. How many times have you done that? Where you're just like, red flag over here. I'm going to go take this job, but it's probably not the best job, but I need the money, so I'm going to take the job and I'm going to do this thing, or I'm going to get in this I'm going to ignore the fact that this person I'm on a date with said this thing, and I'm just going to go for it because I don't want to be by myself, or whatever the story is. Red flag, red flag, red flag. And then you wonder why this adversity is there and why you're suffering. And the biggest pill you'll ever swallow is the one where you take full ownership for the choices you've made in the past. But it is the very thing that will liberate you when you realize, I made those choices, I can make different choices for my future. I don't have to continue being this person if I don't want to be. I get to do something different. But it takes honesty, and it takes a lot of compassion. So when you're going through a process of becoming more whole and saying, I want something else, you can't ignore your feelings. You can't just, when there's those disruptions, when there's grief because you're letting go of an identity, you move with that. You dance with your feelings. You dance with life. Because if it's going to take you somewhere else, I said this earlier in this. I said, people can have the things, but that doesn't mean necessarily that they're going to have the peace and the joy and the fulfillment that they want internally. Have the things, like massive abundance is having the things, but also having a rock solid relationship with yourself. So that when life gets challenging, you don't just go into a cave and just wish it away and then not deal with it. Dealing with it is dealing with your feelings. Knowing that you're not going to lose yourself. That the greatest gift you give yourself with resiliency is to walk through the fire of whatever you're being initiated through and towards. That is the spiritual journey. And realizing you can have what you want. You can co-create whatever it is that you desire. And you'll be able to hold the frequency when you learn how to hold yourself. When you're not looking outside of yourself for money to solve your problems, or mommy and daddy to solve your problems, or your significant other. They can't solve your problems for you. You are the one. Your relationship to self. And believing that you are inherently worthy of what you desire. That if God imprinted that feeling into your heart, there's a reason why you want those things. And you should be asking for them. And it is spiritual to want to become a better person and live a limitless life. God plays a huge game. So should you. But just realize in the game, the up level is not just about mantras and, all that kind of stuff. It's deeper than that. It's bigger than that. We are so much bigger than that. And I believe, and I saw this in my meditation this morning, that, everybody talks about in the spiritual communities about ascension. It's just so, I'm ascending to 5D. You could, okay. I'm not making fun of anybody. I just think it's interesting to me. It's really interesting to me. What if ascension is learning to take the biggest disruptive pattern of your life that you have not been able to get out of, and learning how to see it through the lens of love. And when you see it through the lens of love, you see other resources and solutions and invoking grace into your life to trust and have faith that what you want is there, but the pattern that you've been looping in, we all have that pattern. We all have that thing, right? But whatever that is, you're able to rise above it and really ascend into a whole new frequency where that thing that held you prisoner and hostage in your life in some way, shape, or form no longer is that anymore, because you've risen above it. It's not an issue anymore because you internally learned how to shift. Because we all have patterns and things we're playing out. Some of your stories of your life have a repetitive pattern that you continue to evolve from and out of, right? But I think ascension is not something outside of ourselves. It's about when we return to love and when we rise above and behave differently in our reality and become a different person than who we've always been. That's the work. That's the spiritual journey. And that's when you can hold it all and you can receive abundance because you're not resisting anything in your reality. You're really just open to what life wants to bring you. You're trusting, you have faith that what you want wants you to, and that you're going to get there. And then that's when your stories and your identity of the past don't hold so much power over you. Because sometimes people hold their stories and they say them over and over and over again. Oh, when this person did this to me, and when this, I had a situation this morning where I had to talk about my past for a couple hours. It was painful. I did not want to talk about my past for 2 hours. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to revisit some of that stuff. Like, that's done. It's done. I'm moving on. So your history of who you've been when interwoven with your spirit, becomes the totality of your being. And you don't need a badge of honor for what you've been doing and have to repeat it over again. It's already part of you. You become the embodiment of what you've been through. And it is important to always recognize how far you've come. But if you're going to become someone and grow spiritually and evolve, you will find that who you were, let's say 3 years ago, you are nothing like now because you've shifted. 5 years from today, you're going to be somebody completely different if you're truly on a spiritual journey, because your journey is about loving yourself and coming into the deepness and richness of who you are, not resisting, being okay with your feelings, and elevation. And elevation. That is my TED Talk for today. But the fun thing with, when you step into the richness of your being is that life is so much more joyful. And then when you have the things that you really want, when you have your desires, when you have all the, whether it's the home that you want or the yacht or the money or the things, that there's a matching feeling of joy and peace that are aligned with that. Because remember when I said it's not necessarily even about the destination of what you're getting to, it's who you become in that. And when you become peace and when you become joy and all those things, you naturally become a vibrational match to everything in the quantum field that is that stuff for you. So ascension is about a frequency. It's about moving towards who you want to be in the future and embodying it right now and not waiting till you have your new car or new client or whatever. And really having resiliency to get through the day-to-day of this life with trust and faith. Because sometimes you're gonna feel like you're blindfolded and you don't know what you're doing in your life. You don't know what's happening, but that is the womb of creation. That's where new beginnings form. So anyways, thanks for listening. Love to, hear your feedback. If you're resonating, want to know more, I am opening up a second cohort for my Destined program. It is a very intimate group of 5 women that I coach for 6 months. It's called Destined for a reason, because it's all about ascending into who you're becoming, really embodying the energy of whatever it is that you're destined for. And it's not about one specific area of your life. It's the totality of your being. So whether you want to up level in your business or you want to up level in your relationships, it's about being able to hold the vision of your future self and really bring it into the now. And every week, you get a chance and opportunity to be coached and hold the vision of your future self while working through some of the, releasing some of the trauma of the past and, moving through some of the patterns and things that are keeping you looping in your reality. And it's so fun because you have an amazing community of women that you get to go through this with. So I already have a couple women that have said, yes, this is the first time I've really kind of opened it up. But if you're wanting to learn more, message me. We can always hop on a call together. And I'm going to be teaching some master classes this year. So my first one's going to be called The Compass, and it's about intuitive mastery. Super excited because I feel like intuition is the key to unlocking so much of this, reality creation. So anyways, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you soon.